Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Pedro from Tommy's Shed, and today we're going for a drive with the JDM Scotland group. So yes, we'll see how that goes. I think it's going to be a good one because we're going to Glencoe in Scotland, and the guys from Scotland Type R group, they will be joining as well. So I think it's going to be a fantastic day. So stick around and we'll see how it goes. So hello everyone, my name is Pedro. I'm from Tommy's Shed, based in Kilmarnock over there, and today I've just joined the JDM Scotland drive, together with the Type R group from Scotland, and I had the pleasure to meet Chris over here with his beautiful car, and I thought, okay, let's take the opportunity and maybe find out more about the car, which, yes, it's a very, very nice car, I can tell you that, and also about the owner, how he got into that, why he's having this car, and to tell us more about himself as well. So thank you, Chris, for joining
My pleasure.
today. This is actually the first time when I'm doing this, so I'm glad to have such a special car and such a good person.
Privilege
Just
to
met,
me as well, yeah.
and in such an incredibly beautiful scenery.
Indeed.
So yeah, would you like to tell us a bit more about yourself? So we know your name is Chris.
It is.
We know you've been for a
In
few
fact,
years in. Yes.
My full name is Christophoros.
Wow. Okay.
Chris is the short one. It's easier for people to remember.
It
And
is
to
indeed. It is indeed. Mine is Petru as well, but Pedro is a bit more popular, so I know exactly how it goes. So let's make it easier for everyone else.
Exactly.
So can you tell us a few words about the car? Let's start with the car.
Yeah.
Do you have any? What's the story? How did you ended up with it, and why? That's the most important.
Yeah, so I've had quite a few cars before that, including the FK8 Type R, which is the newer one of these.
Okay.
But the right opportunity came up and I'm like, I think I want to try the FK2, because originally that was the car I wanted to get.
Okay.
But I found a really good deal on an FK8 and I ended up on an FK8.
All right.
That was the car that I originally wanted.
All right.
So
okay.
a few years later, and different things in life and achieving things, I'm like, right, okay, there's a really nice opportunity to own an FK2 now. So I found a really good dealership that was selling that, and because you know yourself that Honda and Japanese cars, they have a really good community.
Indeed.
I was able to find the previous owner that sold it to the dealer, so he told me all about the car, all about the history, so I was confident enough to kind of like, make the purchase.
And probably it's quite easy to, like, if you do a bit of research, it's quite easy to find the previous owners and find out about all the details, and it's like, I know, because we were discussing a few minutes ago, I was saying that no matter, like, I've been lucky enough to own a few cars, but I always come back to owning a Honda, because besides the reliability and everything they had, you have this sense of community, which other manufacturer companies, they do have as well. You have in every, I owned an MGT F160 for a while, and believe it or not, there's a strong community behind that, and they still like
in every brand. I would agree with this. BMWs have a very strong community. The VAG cars have a very strong community.
Yeah.
Every kind of, like, you know, car manufacturer has a very good community, and that's really nice. But the Japanese cars, Honda in particular, but generally speaking, all the Japanese cars, I think they come across a bit more kind of like desirable, so to speak.
Okay.
So, and it depends, I suppose, what you're looking to get from your car, right?
Indeed.
So this is not a commuting car.
Okay.
It can be,
okay,
but it's not going to be very pleasant.
All right.
Because it's a very stiff car, it's a very raw car, you feel, you hear everything. It's as Honda described it at the time of launch, a race car for the road. That's basically what it is.
Okay.
So a civilized version of a race car, so you can
Indeed.
take it to the shops if you have to, but probably you won't. So
yeah, I suppose this one still has the magic seats, isn't it?
it does.
So that means that it's absolutely like you have a massive cargo over there. So if you want to go to Tesco, Razda or whatever, and you want to fill it up, you can do that, as you said. But yeah, probably not
so
the best.
I'm using my van Monday to Friday, and
Okay.
even for the weekends. You know, that's my daily, in inverted commas. So this is my weekend car. This is my toy. This is my reason to get in and go for a drive, you know, a day like today, and the summer, you know, trips up and down the country, stuff like that.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing with this car, yeah. And
Okay.
in the next summer season, track days.
So you've been on a track with it as well?
I haven't been yet, but I will go to
right.
Lock Hill on first
Okay.
chance, yeah.
All right, fantastic. Looking forward to see it there. So, yeah, would you tell us something about, like, the car itself? Like, you were saying that has been modified by the previous owner. What kind of modifications, and how did that improve what Honda did from the factory?
Yeah, so basically The car in itself, so the FK2 Type R, so that is based on the Civic from late 2011 up until 2015. This came actually quite late in the cycle of the Civic, of this Ape Civic. Honda thought, let's do a Type R and let's break the 8-minute lap time in the Nürburgring.
Yeah.
And they did. So that's how this car came. So I think they didn't have the time to invest in like refinements or stuff like that. They had an older, in inverted commas, chassis to work on, so they just made it as raw as possible, as stiff as possible, as good as they could in order to get that record in the Nürburgring, and they did. Obviously that has been surpassed by other cars after that, but it was a really good achievement at the time. So standard, the car comes with about 310 horsepower, so that is basically the first Honda car that comes with a turbocharged engine.
Okay.
On a Type R. So the modifications that have been done to it, it's an intercooler with the whole charge pipe kit, an intake and a smaller resonator on the exhaust. That is more for the sound benefit rather than any improvements. And then it has been remapped to over 400 horsepower. And 525, I believe, Newton meters of torque.
You're happy with the remap?
Yes.
Would you give a shout to the place that did the remap? Do you know?
Absolutely. The place is called TPW Engineer, Paul West.
Okay.
Very, very, very well known in the Honda community. And
there you go, guys. If you're just getting into Honda and you need someone to have a look at that, there you go. That's an owner that recommends it.
I would 100% recommend Paul for that. He's doing several other cars. Honda swapped other cars, so he knows these engines very, 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 very well. Okay.
Is there anything in particular that you don't like about the car?
No, really. I mean, if I have to pick something up, I would say that the seats are a tiny bit higher than I would like them, and pretty much every owner of a car like that would tell you the same thing, which is one of the things they improved on the newer ones, the FK8 and the FL5. But I'm being picky here, you know, it isn't a problem, so to speak.
Yes. Yeah. So, Chris, would you tell us how long did you have the car?
Not even a month.
Not even a month? Okay.
Not even a month.
So it's not sort of say to ask if you had any issues or anything like that?
No.
Is there anything from the community that you've seen that people should be in particular like paying attention when they are buying something like this?
Yeah, I mean, I would suspect that the very first thing that you have to look on these cars, and basically any car of that age, you know, this is getting 8 years old now.
And you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, is there rust underneath? That's the very first thing that you have to check. I will have some rust, but you know where you draw your line, kind of thing.
Yes.
And that would be my advice. Common faults on these: the throttle body kind of hose splits. Very easy fix. They do need every now and again the valve clearances checked. It's not an issue. It's just the design of the engine, basically.
Which happens to a lot of manufacturers.
Yeah, and I don't think they have anything else in particular. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a Honda, so you will have creaks, you will have squeaks, you will have all these sort of things. But I suppose that's what makes it what it is. You know, that's the character of the car.
And we have to be fair with giving that it is a car that has been purposely built to feel everything, and also it was in a certain price bracket. Okay, because sometimes people, they forget about this and they starting to compare apples to oranges, and they start comparing like 30-40k cars with cars that are over 150,000 pounds, and they say, oh, these are like much quieter. So yeah, there's you have to consider these things when you're looking for cars like these. So I don't think anyone would buy this for how quiet it is on a motorway.
No.
So,
well, they shouldn't.
Or they shouldn't. Indeed. Yes. Obviously, Chris, I want to ask you something. So there are so many people out there. Okay. From your experience, inspire young people out there to think about what they should do in order to one day to be as lucky as you are to own something like this.
Don't spend your money on silly things. Save your money and you buy a car. Joke aside, I would suggest to anyone, to drive a Japanese car,
Okay.
to get themselves into a Japanese car, because there's something, and you will know that yourself, that they all have it's very similar on the way they're driving, regardless of being a Type R or a 1.8 liter normal Civic. They all have the same kind of, like, the steering steers the same, the clutch feels the same, they all stall the same. You know, they have some characteristics, like the majority of the characteristics are the same.
Yes.
And I just happen to prefer that over the German cars, and each to their own, don't get me wrong. Every car has its purpose. You know, the German cars are comfier, quieter, more power, you know, for the motorway and stuff like that. But if you want something that you're gonna get the feeling of the clutch engagement, of the gear engagement, of the steering, what the front end is doing, what the diff is doing, feel anything, everything, get the info behind the wheel, you know? If that's what you're looking for, then definitely a Honda, not necessarily an FK2, you can go for an EP3, you can go for, you know, older ones which are cheaper, and then climb over to something more, you know, more expensive or something like that.
Or do what you did and basically from the newer generation get the older one.
Yeah. So you go newer, and then you're like, nah, I need to go older. So things like that happen all the time, and so some people don't understand, because it's also a matter of, like, what do you need from a car? Okay, so what makes you happy besides, like, the cost, besides, like, you know, all that comes with a car. What makes you happy? What drives you to drive that car? So don't think that you always have to get the newer model. You always have to get the latest one. Yes, subjectively, objectively, they will be better. But subjectively speaking, it's also a matter of what works for you. Okay, so as you said, this worked much better for you than the newer model. Absolutely, yeah.
So this happens a lot, and if you don't spend money on silly things, then you're gonna get a bit more money to get your dream car. So listen, Chris, thank you very, very much for your time, and
my pleasure.
holding a few more minutes to do this. Hopefully I'll see you at the shed. And if there are any other gatherings, we're gonna have we're launching the Tommy's Shed Car Club soon, okay? And we're gonna organize a drive a month, and sometimes we may combine that with different and various clubs, including JDM Scotland. They've been a friend of ours for, like, since they started, basically. And you're gonna see lots and lots of nice cars on the channel from the JDM Scotland community and from other communities as well. So thank you very much again, Chris.
My pleasure.
And,
My pleasure.
We'll see you again.